Good morning from Europe, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Piotr here, this is Light Forex Global YouTube channel, 10th of March, London Open. We are going to check what is going on, as yesterday we had limits down on the US indices, and it looks like today we might see some kind of the possibility right here, right now, to get the some limits up. Anyway, the VIX closed yesterday at around 54, meaning that the average daily move should be around 3% and the monthly 20. Usually, if we are going to check what happened in the past, right, 3% daily moves were something that happened less than once a year. Now VIX suggests that's the typical daily move. That's based on the Jim Bianco stats. Thank you very much, Jim. So very, very interesting. But taking into the consideration what we've seen yesterday, what we have today, well, that's very, very, very interesting. Now, looks like we have some kind of the short covering after huge monster sell-off. We do have some kind of the short covering as the market is preparing for to get the measures right, because we had some press conference yesterday, right, and during that press conference nothing really has happened, right, only promises, right, and the drastical measures are gonna should have take place. That's what we've been taught yesterday. We will see how it's going to be. In case of the market disappointment, well, a continuation of the huge sell-off might be in place. Very interesting things are going on in China, because it looks like almost right here, right now, there was no China virus and coronavirus outbreak in China. With this type speed of the recovery, it might end up that, well, nothing has happened. Of course, I would take it as a, always data from the China is manipulated. So here I would say we have the same thing. What else? The total ban when it comes to the travel to Italy. So the coronavirus spreading out in Europe in a quite fast way. So today the most important thing, I would say it's wait and see what's going to happen when we are going to get these economic measures, and based on what President Trump said, the measures will be very, very dramatic. So based on that, let's have a look what we have when it comes to the charts. So without a further delay, let's jump and see what is going on there. Let's start with the indices. All right, if you remember, we were placing the red line based on the monthly chart, the red color, and looks like market is trying to react at the very important level, right? That's the latest weakness when it comes to the weekly chart. When it comes to the trend line, I wanna see this rectangle. Yeah, rectangle. So it's a weekly, so it should be blue, but to have things visible, I'm going to make it a little bit different. So that's the latest weakness, guys, and looks like the current bounce, that's not accident. We took out the stops, right, lower shadow, and we are reacting inside this latest weakness based on the weekly chart, right? So a little bit higher levels possible. Now the question is, how high can we go, right? So we are almost hitting 2,875 right here, right now on the S&P, and I would say that this level over here, based on the weekly chart, it's 2,950, right? So like 80 points higher might be crucial. The maybe even zone like here 3,020, right? So that might be crucial from the seller's perspective. Don't forget, guys, that next week we have 3 witches, and the thing is that most of those guys, most of those young traders, money managers, they were not prepared for this type move to the downside. So they will try to use every opportunity to push the stocks higher. So if we are going to see that the Trump and the White House administration will deliver today, we might see this type of the rally, right? Because there is billions of dollars when it comes to the settlement. We are talking about the options, futures, and stuff like this. So you have to have this in mind. So based on this, we have to remember what might happen. Now, from the daily chart perspective, well, looks like very, very nice engulf. Depends where we are going to end up today, right? Because it looks like we might want to just to close the gap, and that's what we discussed yesterday, all right? It might be just the gap closing and rejection around, because the gap is close to the levels we discussed a second ago, right? So very, very, very likely in case of the market disappointment when it comes to the measures. Of course, the things going on oil are not helping here, but there we have some information from the Russia side that well, we might try to talk with Saudi Arabia, so it could be that we might see one time gap, huge gap to the downside, some kind of destabilization, some kind of the, you know, trying to calm market down, and then everything is going to get back to normal. So no market shock from the lower oil prices, no market shock from the coronavirus. Anyway, when it comes to today, of course, depends what we are going to get. And to be honest with you, I'm not gonna be surprised we are going to see higher levels, right? But I would like to see some kind of the retest during the cash market, the retest of some levels we've seen yesterday towards the end of the US session, right? And only here, so 100 points lower on the S&P, I may try to jump based on what we have right now, okay? Based on what because situation can easily change. I will make an update closer to the US Open, all right? So yes, I'm looking to buy on a very deep, all right? And I'm going to look for the possibility to sell when it comes to the higher levels in US gap closing. So levels close to 2,925, or even if we are going to see some higher levels, 2,946 and 75. I'm going to check what is going on, and only during the and post the conference and US cash and during the US cash market. All right, so that's then what is going on when it comes to the indices. All right, let's have a look what's going on the FX side. Well, to be honest with you, I don't forget that you can check what I'm doing. The link is in the description. I'm doing all the strategies at one account, and it was quite a good day yesterday. I've been trying to trade long side on S&P and dollar yen, and actually the second attempt on the dollar yen, I hit 100 pips, so that was quite okay. On the dollar yen, we already trying to close the gap, right? So when it comes to the dollar yen, it looks like a little bit better. The bulls are a little bit better off than when it comes to the indices. Now we have this latest weakness when it comes to the intraday chart, all right? And as you can see, 15-minute chart, and as you can see, we had this type of the pullback, and we are trying to rally off that one. I would be very careful. I think that you know, in case of the disappointment, and there is a there is a huge possibility this time that the market will reject, will fade the Trump big news. Of course, big. Like this, all right. So it might end up with the double top, where the second top is a little bit higher, and that could be the gap close to the left and rejection here. So it's, in my opinion, it's worth to watch levels around to 105.20, 105.50, right? When it comes to the longs, well, this is the 15-minute chart, and we are reacting inside this possible demand. Actually, that was the latest weakness. After the break to the upside, it's working as a demand, right? But, well, we might try to switch to the lower time frame, to the 5-minute chart, right? And what we have here, that was one of the reason, the spike to the downside over here was one of the reason I've been trading the dollar yen here, but we haven't seen the retest of that consolidation, right? I mean the 102.30, 102.20, and you know, with this type of the volatility, we cannot rule it out that we are going to see the retest over the next few hours, right? So that's where I'm going to look eventually for the opportunity to try to open the long position. Of course, looking to the short side, as I mentioned, above 105.20 towards 105.50, but again, getting closer to the press conference and the US cash open. I'm not doing many things right now. I'm simply I put myself in a wait and watch mode. Guys, huge volatility on indices, huge volatility on yen crosses. Stay safe, don't be trapped, lower your exposure. Sometimes less is more, don't forget about it. So it was my pleasure to make this European market open update for you. I'm going to get back around the US Open. Take care, goodbye, stay safe.